going to get a comment from you on Bill's passing.
Yeah, man, it's just a sad day, for the city and for the organization. Sean's was somebody that I actually got to know, pretty well. When I first got here, he's one of the first people that I met, and anybody that knows him knows that he immediately told me that he was the person that came up with Rip City. That was one thing that he owned, and something that he was extremely proud of. I'm sure his voice will be remembered. What he represented will be remembered. And, I'm just happy that I've been around long enough and, spent enough time around him to call him a friend and to get to know him. So, like I said, it's a sad day. I send my condolences to his family and his wife. Just a sad day, man. He was a really solid person.
What about John Curry? I saw you posted something about him on.
Yeah, that was also just a sad situation. He knew I was a huge fan of boxing. Curry knew I was a huge fan of boxing. So every day that I came into the locker room, he would always point the camera at me because he wanted me to face off with the camera. So that was like an inside thing that we had. But being with the organization for 39 years, the way he supported me, he always wore my shoes. We always had little offside conversations. Him being a vet, what he did for vets, knowing what they go through when they return home and the struggles that they face, him taking initiative and being responsible just from his own experience and, taking the time to do something like that, I think it speaks to who he was as a man. And just being so much more than the person behind the camera, you know what I mean? But, if you go around the organization, you take a walk around the arena, a lot of people were emotional the other day because of who he was, the kind of man that he was. So another guy I was, glad to get to know, and not somebody that I just walked by every day and, we know each other's face but didn't know each other, So I'm happy that I was able to actually know him, and just sad to see him go, especially when it's so unexpected. And, you just never know what people are going through. You never know what they're going through personally. You never know what people's situation is as far as their health. So just unfortunate, man. Even before that game, I was just like, man, when they told me, it just kind of threw me off. But, I think just with Curry and with Sean's, I think it just makes for an extremely sad week for the organization.
Dame, is there a conversation or anything that you can remember that sticks out to you when you think back on Bill?
I would say the conversation about where Rip City came from. It was like when he was saying it to me, I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's where it came from. I didn't know you came up with it. And he was just like, yeah, like I really did, And I was like, all right, I wasn't really sure how accurate it was. He was like, no, I can get you like the clip and I can, I can get the sound bite. Like he was really trying to get me to see like I came up with this, So that's why earlier I said how proud of it he was. That's literally was probably the first conversation that we had and how he introduced himself. But I remember another time we did a shoot together. I did a partnership with Standard, an appliance, and they filming us, me and him having like dialogue, and they wanted it to be organic. So we trying out all these mattresses at Standard. We're in the store, and they gave us a break, and I remember looking over, and he was like laid back on one of the mattresses, and I thought he was just playing around, but he was laying there with his eyes closed, like he was dozing off. So it was that was pretty funny. He just, he dozed off actually while we were doing the shoot. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
What have you done? Go ahead.
Chauncey talked about learning a lot about Blazers history from him. Did he talk to you about the history of the franchise?
I think he talked to everybody about the history of the franchise. Like I said, he was very proud, of being a part of this organization and the history that he was a part of. And You know, you look up a lot of the names that are hanging up. You look at the history of this organization and all the great players that have come through. He wanted that to be known, you know, and he spoke on it very often, you know, and those were the times, you know, where he was probably most into it. So, you know, those memories he wanted to share them, and I'm pretty sure, you know, every person that he crossed paths with, he shared some of that with him.
What have you thought about the connection that he's made with the fan base, just all the love that he's gotten? I don't know if you've had a chance to see social media, but like so many people have just posted selfies with him and things like that.
Just, you know, I think is one of those things where he just embraced every part of it, you know. You know, he loved being a part of the city and being a part of this organization. And not a lot of people have that type of mentality, you know, especially where we are now. People, organization to organization, you know, nobody's tied in one place. And I think it really just shows how much it meant to him. You know, he's connected with fans. He's out in the community. He's coming to games, you know. No matter how he was feeling personally, he's still showing up to games, you know. I think that makes perfect sense, that it would be a lot of people showing support and a lot of people, you know, sending their love for him, you know, with his passing because of how he was. You know, I think you know, I'm not surprised by that at all.
In today's NBA, it's so rare for players to be around an organization as long as you have, and to be able to form bonds with people like you have with John or with Sean. What does that mean to you that you've been able to form bonds with people like that, especially in light of today's news?
You know, I think the downside of it is that things like this happen, and you actually have relationships with people, and you know, when people move on to the next thing, that's the downside of, you know, actually having bonds and actually having friendships. But I think, you know, to be around here for as long as I have, it's a lot of people that I get to know, and it makes the job better for me. You know, it gives it more purpose when I'm coming in at night and I'm shooting and I'm seeing, you know, the janitors, T, and, you know, Kevin and Russ. You know, I'm seeing all the guys around the facility, and we actually, you know, get to know each other and, you know, form friendships that aren't just based on, oh, we work for the Trailblazers. You get to know people for who they are. And I think that's the power in being a part of an organization for longer than, you know, 2, 3, 4 years. You know, it's been over a decade since I've been here. So these are basically my adult life friends. You know, that's who they are to me. I'm friends with a lot of these people outside of showing up at the arena or showing up at the practice facility. You know, we get to know each other, we exchange numbers. You know, one of our other custodians here, RD, is a huge boxing fan. We argue literally during every fight. We text messaging, arguing over what I think versus what he thinks. But I just say that to say that gives the job and that gives what I do more purpose. You know, it makes it something that you become attached to because of the friendships and the people that you meet along the way, the longer that you're tied into one place. And I think that's what my experiences have been, especially with, you know, what we're talking about right now.